Good evening. Welcome to the Livonia Public Schools Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting of August 17th, 2026. We thank you for your patience. If you were waiting for us to tune in, we had a previous meeting that we were just wrapping up, and we are now ready to roll. Mrs. Acosta, oh wait, I'm sorry, we're not taking the roll for this meeting. This evening, Mark Johnson and Dave McFarland are both unable to be with us. However, they have the blessing of technology, so they can watch the meeting and catch up with us prior to the next one. The first item on our agenda this evening, let me bump back just a moment here. Tonight's meeting is a committee of the whole meeting, and by that, we will be discussing many items that will come for a vote at a future board meeting, probably the very next one. But we will have a lot of questions and answers on, it's really a relatively short agenda this evening, but those topics that are on the agenda will have questions and answers. We will not have any votes this evening. Any votes will be taken at the next, likely the next meeting. If you'd like a copy of the agenda, if you're present with us this evening, they can be found outside the door to my left on the table. If you're watching from home and you'd like a copy of our agenda, they can be found on our website, which is livoniapublicschools.org. If you hover over the board tab and drop down to board meeting information, there you can find agendas for this evening. You can also find video links for previous meetings if you so desire. Our school district teaches character traits to our children on a regular basis, and the top of that list is respect. You have our commitment as a Board of Education that we will treat one another and everyone who comes before the board this evening with respect, and we ask that everyone participating this evening do the same. The first item on our agenda is audience communications. I don't have any blue slips. Is there anyone who would like to participate in audience communications this evening? Seeing none, we will move on. Our next agenda item is our Committee of the Whole. Item 2A is our Board of Education Operating Procedures. This is a very important document that we review. We try to review it annually, along with our Code of Ethics, which we definitely review annually. I would like everyone to review this in detail at the September study session. We will be going over this entire document. But what we're asking everybody, rather than reading it aloud as we're all sitting here together, which is really not necessary because a lot of it is well known to this board at this time, but we would like everyone to read through it when you've got a cup of coffee and a highlighter or a red pen. And note anything that you think warrants some discussion, whether it needs a change or not. If it needs just discussion, if we need a change, if we need an update, if there's something that we think we should either be added or deleted, we would like very much for everyone to come to the study session ready to discuss this document in depth. We will not be doing that tonight, but that's when we're going to be tackling that in September. Are there any questions on that at this time? Nope. All righty. This time, I will turn it over. The Operations Committee is item number 3. Mr. Johnson is not with us this evening, so I'll turn it over to Mrs. Bradford to lead operations.
Thank you, President Burton. This evening, we have about 4 items tonight, and the first item is item A, our lovely quarterly dashboard. We look forward to this so much, and we have some special guest, Brian Weber's here tonight, along with Mr. Green. So good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Bradford. Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As we enter the 26-27 school year, this is an update from our friend Brian from Plant Moran Real Point on our district dashboard as we resume our cadence for our normal schedule. It's hard to believe, but Levitating by Dewey Lupa and WandaVision were the top shows of 2021. And that's when our bond work began and this new program as we conclude. And as we wrap up Niji Iro, Webster, and Garfield Community, Mr. Weber's here to give us an update on our dashboard. Where did the time go?
I don't know. Those are my favorite songs, though. That's for sure. Thanks for having me today. So big news, we'll start with our update is as of Friday, we passed all inspections for Garfield, Niji, and Webster. So there's moving companies that were working through the weekend to get stuff back in classrooms, a lot of stuff to be sorted out, but we're in a good spot for making sure we're open for business on Monday. So good news there. our last big lift of the bond program for these three major renovations. So, with that said, going into our dashboard, this is our same template we've had for years now, highlighting the bond program goals and objectives that we initiated early in the program, made sure we were aligning with those major goals and not steering away from those. Critical items, it goes with, without saying, we want to close these jobs out timely. This is the end of the program for our design team from French, and then Clark Construction will be wrapping up their services after the summer. So the goal is to get them closed out of the buildings, out of everybody's hair, and let them get to teaching without any distraction. So that's a big critical item for us. There is still some technology initiatives that will be ongoing with Mr. Clan and his team with some security and technology upgrades. That'll happen outside of the Clark Construction world, but separate contractors, that'll be ongoing as well, that we'll be tracking throughout the fall. But those are on schedule. It's a matter of coordinating the efforts outside of some of the construction renovations to make sure they didn't get in each other's way and operate in a manner there's no disruptions to the class. So we've done this successfully in previous years, just wrapping up strongly with those as well. So with that said, that's major milestones, good news there. Cost summary. I'll go through the costs as typical, describe some of these columns, and then feel free to ask questions as we're getting to the near end here with some of the financials you'll see. So starting at the top right table, the cost summary, the budget speaks for itself of where we're currently allocating dollars in each one of the rows. Current contracts and purchase orders are anything that's been signed by the district and the vendors that are fully executed, work that has been put in place. Actuals paid is the dollars against that, so those are dollars that have been spent for work completed. Column D would be the remaining cost to complete, so that's just math of the remaining dollars yet to be paid on those contracts and purchase orders. And then we have forecasted contracts and purchase orders. As you can see, these numbers are quite lower than the last few times I've been here, but the bigger numbers in construction are some contingencies we still have left over for existing contracts. Anything left over from those dollars would be put back into the contingency within this bond program for district administration to decide on best ways to deploy those dollars once recouped. A couple other items in there, the equipment. So we have set aside, we wrap up equipment with maintenance equipment or buses. There's allocated monies for that'll be decided with administrators as well, how to utilize those dollars. And then technology, as I mentioned, Mr. Clan has some initiatives with mobile devices and other upgrades in the buildings that are still to be deployed. Moving over to column F is unallocated reserve and the forecasted over-under. You'll see a lot of zeros there. That is good news that we're balanced out. Everything's coming in on budget, and we do not have any more financial issues or inflation issues to overcome, and we've navigated the last 5 years, which has been fun. But a lot of good news here. We got to the finish line. So grand totals at the bottom, the last one. If you go to column A, is $192,900,000. Originally, the bond was $186 million, so good news there that we're over $6 million, $7 million in earned interest that accrued while in savings that we're able to put back into these buildings as well through the life of the program. So more good news there. Any questions on financials or schedule or any other topics for the bond?
I would like to point out a few things that Mr. Weber mentioned at the beginning. We are starting our normal fall rotation of punch lists. So at Niji, Garfield, and Webster, what happens as we come out of bond, they'll have administration and building supervisors. We'll have a list they work through if there's any odds and ends, and then our construction teams look at those items as we go work through that. We're also, even though we've closed out previous years, we do warranty walks. So part of our construction meetings also are looking at our warranty items from previous bond schools. And we have a cadence of doing those walks to make sure if flooring or other items are still under warranty, we're putting eyes on those areas to make sure before those warranties expire, we're addressing those buildings as well. Even a couple years ago, we're looking at flooring and seeing how they're holding up and doing those warranty walks. So overall, just a big thanks to our teams and our leaders in the buildings as well. Staff have to shift some of their practices for the end of the year and the beginning of the year. And those things like open houses, we ask those buildings to hold off a few weeks in August and early September so we can make sure that when they return their community to those buildings, they look fantastic. So, and we'll do a deeper dive into what those sites look like with the board. And I know we're going to get out there this year for some study sessions, I believe, too. So,
just so it's not left out, we'll have a full presentation on sinking fund as well, but more good news, we also had some sinking fund projects that wrapped up successfully. New roofs at Buchanan, Hoover, Cooper, Franklin's competitive gym all replaced and completed over the summer. Some paving at central office replaced with no incident. Coolidge's water main has also been replaced, back online as well.
Monument.
Monument sign at the central office was completed. Somebody's favorite project. And
great.
filtration project at the pools for Churchill and Franklin also completed. So a
On
lot of good
time.
work
Yep.
outside of the bond as well. So we'll do a full presentation with, when Colin Frank's here, in a couple months, just to, we're still closing out financials on those as well, but we'll give a full update.
Yes, Mrs. Frank.
As you're doing your warranty walks, are we all set with air conditioning? Because I think that's the number one question we will get. Is most of our rooms ready for air conditioning?
Yes, they're ready to go. In fact, we have a really nice system right now that those are handled all very much through our work ticket system. And I think when I saw Mr. Roberts earlier this week, I thought they said 2 units total across the district were needing some maintenance work, and that's it. And those were resolved pretty quickly. And so they've got that down to a science now, yes.
Awesome. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you,
Alrighty.
Mr. Weber.
Thank you for your time.
Go ahead and
You're welcome to stick around.
enjoy the rest of your
Bulk salt.
evening.
I'll stick around for bulk salt.
Bulk salt.
Oh, are you going to stay for bulk salt?
I'll sit and stand.
Okay, sounds good. That's right. All right, we're going to move on to item 3B, the exciting purchase of bulk salt. Mr.
Yes,
Green.
thank you again. As you know, each time this year, we bring a recommendation to the board for a bulk salt purchase. We, in your packet this evening, you should have a recommendation letter from Mr. Roberts, whose department grounds carries the heavy load of salting in the winter months, as well as a memo from me, which explains the yearly costs through our My Deal cooperative. And the reason why we do this is we work on this purchase through My Deal to secure the best pricing for our bulk salt. We also want to be prepared. And so I know this is a yearly tradition and something that we sometimes make light of. I want to point out a few things from last winter. It was a tough winter, especially in the months of December and January. It felt like Superintendent Oquist and myself were online with meteorologists daily for a period of time. And I want to really give a shout out to Mr. Lau and Mr. Roberts for being proactive and obviously the financial support of the board in our district to have an extra inventory on hand. We never want to get into the comparison business, but let's just say many districts were reaching out to us for salt because they ran out. And that was happening across Wayne County. It was happening in other school districts. So I just wanted to thank not only us being proactive on our purchases, but there was also modifications made during the season last year with a lighter drop in some strategic areas based on an analysis of Mr. Roberts and Mr. Crockett really kept great data about how to change the disbursement of the salt on certain days versus other days and really being strategic, which left us in a great position at the end of the season. And so while it's humid and lovely out right now, this weather will come, as it does each year. So we'd ask you to support this next week as a voting item for our board meeting.
Any questions or comments? Mrs. Acosta?
Will this be on the consent agenda?
Well, I'm sure if everybody's agreed to that, we do that every year, so this isn't any different. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item 3C, the Marshall change order.
Yes,
Mr.
thank
Green.
you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about we were given regular updates at study session, the committee of the whole on the raising of Marshall Elementary. The project's gone really well. We got a little bit of a late start, if you recall, but the grounds are looking fantastic. During the course of this project, if you remember, the board approved a total not to exceed, I believe it was $386,507. During the middle of the project, in demolition, it was discovered there was a vapor barrier put on the bottom of the cement in a large portion of the building. So that was not common industry practice at that time, thus it wasn't in the scope of the bid. But when they got in there and saw the vapor plastic, to demo that per environmental orders, they had to use a different type of machine to grind that up and to separate the vapor from the cement, and which increased the cost of the overall project. It would have been financially irresponsible to pause the project at that time and to demobilize. So thus, per our policy, I'm bringing to you this change order that had to be pushed through in the amount of $27,973. And so that is notification, but also you need to vote on that, I believe, next week to approve that.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Oh, I just want to, I appreciate that you didn't stop the project, and, I mean, it would have taken a long time, so thanks for keeping it
absolutely.
moving, so.
And any other questions on that? Just a few.
President Burton.
Yeah, sorry.
Nope, just, can we get an update on where we are right
Yes.
now and where we're, what is the timeline
So
look like?
you're all probably wondering, what about that fence? Because I climbed it and took pictures and looked at everything the other day, and the soil's been restored. Seeding's going to take place once it warms up or cools down, excuse me, and not warms up. And then we want to leave this temporary fence up so there's not foot traffic on that portion of the project. So when they are doing the seeding, what tends to happen if they take that temporary fence down too soon, the seeding doesn't take as well. And then on the other portion, we're working with the city of Livonia. We have a meeting in a couple weeks to talk about the water line that was at Marshall that we needed to preserve for during the raising, they have to spray water on the debris. So now we have to discontinue that line. So we have a meeting with the city of Livonia after the school year starts. I think it's September 6th or 7th, where we're going to finalize that project. And so Adamo has left their equipment, a few pieces of equipment on site in case they're asked to be part of that removal of a little bit of the water area, water main area and sewer, that we don't have to remobilize them, because remobilization in this industry is about $10,000 as a starting point. So we would just prefer to do it right the first time and not have to, have them remobilize and have another bill on our hands. So I'm hoping end of September we should be good to go. Temporary fence down, seeding done. Decorative boulders, we're going to probably avoid fencing due to the cost of fencing, but also the maintenance of it.
Yeah, that looks awful.
And we've had some nice success but we'll look at that once the fence is down in detail, and then we'll have the playscape open and everything else ready to roll.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. We're going to move on to item 3D, the lease for Bentley Field.
Yes, thank you. I had the chance to talk to you a little bit about this last week, and as you know, we have a great partnership with LJL, and so next week I'll be having you review the lease that's in your packet this week to continue to have LJL use the Bentley football field. This is one of those leases that we really encourage the board to think about and support, because it's a cooperative agreement that we are allowing an organization, a nonprofit, to utilize our fields for the benefit of the community. We've had a good, successful relationship with them at the Bentley Field. They have also been very supportive of adding on at their own cost to parts of the Bentley Field for their activities. So this will be a one-year lease. We're going to go, as part of our strategic planning, this is going to be kind of our trend, is going into one-year lease agreements, and then always keep our options open, because I know LJL is often inquiring about our high school athletic fields for pay to rent. So we want to make sure that if that's an option that we could explore, either financial reasons or for them, we keep that open. And by having this one-year deal, it allows us to do that. And with all leases, our legal does review this so that we make sure that we have the proper insurance and the proper coverage at all times.
All right, any questions or comments? Okay, all right, then that closes out, President Burton. Oh, yes, I think we could do that, because I think we also do that. And that we've had that done in the past.
They can always take it out
If
if
we-
we don't know what
yeah.
Martin Day they have to say.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you.
All right, turn it back over to you, President Burton. Well, I think that's great. Okay, we have item A, personal electronic devices update, and Mr. Etude.
Good evening, everyone.
evening.
Yes, I want to bring to you, thank you for the opportunity to kind of update you and the community in terms of where we are with our personal electronic device policy and state law and everything that goes along with that. So, as a reminder, if you recall, last school year, we updated our personal electronic device within the district for Livonia Public Schools, which included not allowing personal electronic devices being used during classroom instructional time. So we're kind of ahead of the curve. The state of Michigan passed a law recently that highlights that very notion, that no longer can smartphones be used during classroom instructional time. So we actually went one step above that, beyond smartphones, and included personal electronic devices from that standpoint. So what we did is we created different bands. We have lower elementary, upper elementary. We have secondary and post-secondary administrative procedures to help guide our building administrators and our teachers and our parents in terms of what's allowed and what's not allowed. Right now, our building principals have been diligent, working with our teachers as early as today, and highlighting to our families and our community members of what the expectations are walking into the school this year. So at the middle school level, they are not allowed to use their electronic devices. They're not allowed to have them out. Let me back up a little bit. They can use them before school and after school, but they do have to have them shut off or silenced and put in their lockers throughout the course of the day. The one off to that is Emerson Middle School. They are allowing them, with school administrative approval, to use them during lunchtime. It's a little different configuration there. It's kind of a cramped space to a certain degree, and they don't have the flex furniture that the other schools have at this point in time, and we're looking into all of that. So it's an opportunity for those students to kind of spread out just as best they can and have a little bit of distraction with their phones and touch base and so on and so forth. But Mr. Jensen and Mr. Stevens has been on top of that. It's worked well for them so far, so we're going to see how that goes for this school year moving forward with that. And then the high schools is they are allowed to use their cell phones or electronic devices before school, after school. They also are allowed to use them during passing time in between classes, as well as lunchtime. They are not allowed to use personal electronic devices in the hallways during classroom time. So that's something that's going to be a little bit of a shift for them, and they'll coach those students through that from that standpoint. And then each of our buildings and each of our levels have policies in place that highlight the consequences regarding violations of those policies. So that's where we are at the secondary level at this point.
I guess I have a question. So how does the administration ensure that the children, that everybody, all the staff is on board? I mean, how do you kind of monitor that, so to speak?
Well, it starts with today, with the professional development that occurred with our schools. There was a building PD today, so all the principals had highlighted what the instructions are, what the rules are, what the policies are for our teachers, answered any questions they had, showed them the support they're going to provide, what the steps are for them if a student does violate it, and so on and so forth. In terms of monitoring it, that's the part that we lean on our teachers to really enforce that policy, knowing that we're going to be strong in terms of that protecting those classroom instructional minutes for our students and for our teachers, and then administrators will back up those teachers based on the violations that occurred. So it'll be consistent, it'll be ongoing. We'll always run into an issue here and there, but we'll work through them.
And my other question is, communication-wise, what are you doing for the parents or adults who are wanting to send messages to their children? How will you get the word out for the parents so that they understand what the new procedures are?
Absolutely. So what we've been doing for the principals is they've been sending out messages the last 2 weeks, once each of the last 2 weeks, highlighting what the new or updated or reminder of what the policy is, not just in emails or messages, or newsletters, but also in infographics on their social media pages. And they'll have the conversations with parents in terms of, parent nights and things of that nature.
Great,
And just
thank you.
keep reiterating it.
Mrs. Acosta.
President Burton, I know you had your.
Nope,
okay.
go ahead.
So, and maybe you know or not, but within each school, is it what happens once the students enter the classroom? Is that dependent on the teacher?
It is. We're providing, each school has set up what's comfortable for the teacher and for the students. A lot of times they have caddies at the front of the school or front of the classroom where the kids come in, they put them right in that caddy and they take it when they leave. They can check them in with the teacher as well if that's the case for the teacher. Or at the high school level, a lot of times they just keep them locked up in their backpacks.
Thank you.
President Burton.
As you mentioned, last year, we really began this effort. And how much support are we getting from parents or pushback are we getting from parents? I mean, I know that's kind of a broad question because we're always going to have some on both ends of the extreme. But as far as the majority of our parents, are parents supportive of this? Are they pushing back on it? Where do our parents fall?
The feedback I'm receiving from principal is there has not been much pushback from parents, and they're in support of recapturing the instructional minutes and kind of, lack of a better term, detoxing our students from the addictive nature of our cell phones and our personal electronic devices. So very
Okay.
seldom do we get the pushback, more support.
Okay, okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? This is just for information only tonight?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and that concludes the Division of Instruction Committee. I move it back to President Burton.
Thank you. Turn it over to Mrs. Acosta for the Finance Committee.
Thank you, President Burton. I don't believe we have anything to report tonight besides the dashboard.
All righty, thank you. I will turn it over to item 6, the Board Policy Committee with Mrs. Frank.
Thank you. We are going to talk about Board Policy Administrative Procedures, IFA, District Technology Network, and related resources with Mrs. Keats. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Mrs. Keats.
Apologies, I just was in Board Book and realized the policy was not uploaded, so I've emailed it all to you, so you have it. We did review it last week at our study session, so it is not brand-new information. But we talked about this policy last week and the the edits we wanted to make because of the wave of artificial intelligence coming into our schools. So we want to make sure that we have set up protections in place for our staff and our students when they're using these large language models. So based on feedback we've received from such organizations such as MASA and other consultants with artificial intelligence that we've been working with, we were told to keep our edits pretty broad because technology is one of those things that changes in the blink of an eye, and we don't want to have to come back every 6 months to change this. So if I may I read it out loud for you all? Okay, so this is Board Policy IFA, Instructional Program, District Technology Network, and related resources. It was reviewed on November 2018. The district will maintain a technology network and related resources to enhance student learning and communication with the community and staff. Content will relate to curriculum and instruction and the educational programs, opportunities, services, and other informational items related to Livonia Public Schools School District. All information on the technology network must conform to board policies, administrative procedures, and district guidelines. Use of the technology network and related resources, including artificial intelligence and other large language models, is a privilege and subject to the policies and procedures of the district. These policies and procedures apply to all persons using the district technology network and related resources, including all students, teachers, administrators, other employees, contractors, vendors, and volunteers. Violation of these policies and procedures may result in forfeiture of use privileges and disciplinary action for students and employees.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this?
No.
Policy?
Mrs. Oquist.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Oquist. sorry.
Thank you, Mrs. Frank. Mrs. Keats, could you just spend a moment sharing that while this may seem relatively simple, that the AI task force and the AI architects, along with members of our cabinet team, have created pretty extensive and clear guidelines for use.
Absolutely.
That will be utilized by staff, by administrators, and by students.
Absolutely, and this is something I had shared at a previous study session. We did not have the fortune of being on camera at that time. So over the last 6 months, more so, since January, so we're up to 9 months now almost, we began working with a consultant who spent the latter part of his career digging into artificial intelligence, technology in schools, and we partnered with him, and he's guided us on a journey with a task force with our administrators. That was the first piece. Many of our cabinet members, there were many administrators from all levels, from pre-K to post-secondary, that joined us on this team to talk about guidelines for staff, for students, because AI, artificial intelligence, is something that some people embrace and others are a little bit nervous about, to be honest. So we sat down in this task force and kind of asked all the questions. What are we worried about students finding, doing, learning, seeing? What are we worried about staff in this? So in our task force meetings, we went through our current handbooks, we went through our policies, and we tried to align them with the use of AI in the classrooms. One of the most simple ways I can dial down what is in the user guidelines is we came up with a one-pager as a companion to this document that gives you the cans and cannots. But this one pager is something that we're really going to educate our staff and students on, is when it's appropriate to use in class, when it's not appropriate to use in class, and when you do, what the different levels are. For example, no AI is a level 0, or full AI with citations, with dates, visited the sites, et cetera, that would be a 4. So I'm really making that a little simplistic right now, but we went through every scenario that we could think of at the time with the administrator task force to really dig into what it would look like in a classroom. Further, we then had an AI architect group where we tapped staff members from pre-K to post-secondary to see what this would look like in practice in the schools. And this group was made up of people who weren't 100% adopters. There were some folks that had questions about, what does this look like? You know, I'm on the cusp of really embracing technology and being a little nervous about it in my classroom. So these educators got to use their voice. They got to ask the questions, push back, and really learn the ways that it could enhance our teaching, that it's not just write a paper for me, but rather, how can I differentiate this lesson to meet the needs of a senior in high school who may be reading at an 8th grade level? Or how can I use this to help my lesson planning so I can make, you know, a span of 9th through 12th graders interested in some really abstract topic. I can't even think of it at this moment. So we will continue this work in September as we roll out some more information with our staff. This will be in our hands, but this policy is our basic guideline to make sure that staff and students are protected and that no one is misusing the technology that we are giving them within our LPS networks.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
This is somewhat related, and if you'd rather we address it at another time, that's okay with me. I received an email just a few days ago from a parent asking about how, and this is from a parent who admittedly uses technology, and the kids do, and that's okay. But with both an upper elementary and a middle schooler, how do we balance the use of technology without overusing it? And since I know we did talk briefly about that a few weeks ago, would you like to answer that now, or would you rather that we just put that on an agenda item for upcoming so folks will know? Because it is kind of a topic in the community right now. How do we balance embracing technology while also making sure that we don't lose the human touch?
It certainly is. And I will talk about it a little bit right now, and then we can bring it up at a study session and talk about it in more as we get started with the school year. But it's interesting because I just received an email from a parent who said they don't use screens at all at home, and they want to know what accommodations we can make for their child when they come to school. So I will tell you that when we started embracing Chromebook usage in the classroom, I think we went, everyone's on Chromebooks and we're doing these amazing lessons online, and this is used during intervention time when teachers aren't meeting with kids, and students in the upper levels in our secondary schools, where they were self-researching and doing things like that. We have pulled back a little bit with the technology use in the classrooms to a more balanced approach, that we realize teachers are the number one teachers that students are going to get in the classrooms. Some of our assessments, they are all online, and that is a state mandated assessment, or with iReady. There's nothing we can do about a paper pencil version for that at this time. But our lessons, I can speak specifically to elementary, we are pulling back some of that Chromebook use for the daily use because we were just missing the mark. We weren't getting the books in hands of kids. We were relying on the digital text instead of the good old paper readers that way. It's still used at times with our modules and some of the supplementary materials to our lessons, but it cannot and will not take the place of teaching in the classroom. So that is something that our K4s, K6s are making a more concerted effort to get the screens out of kids' hands at this time. And with our secondary schools, I imagine it's a lot of the same as well.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
So going back to this AI, so somebody's looking at our board policy, they're not going to see a board policy on AI. It is embedded within our district technology.
That is correct, very specifically for that purpose, yes.
Yep, okay.
Will we include the guidelines somewhere on our website?
They will not be within board policy, but we will absolutely put them on the website.
Okay.
I can imagine they would be probably under elementary programs, secondary programs, or academic service department. They might be in all three areas.
Yeah, that
Like-
might be helpful even as a standalone item.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we can just say, AI guidelines for staff and students. That way if a parent is searching for it or looking for it, they can easily find it.
In my mind, I'm envisioning where the handbooks are, and somebody could easily see, you know, handbook, AI usage guidelines, other.
Yeah, exactly, yes, so that everybody can easily find it and know what the rules are. Yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And that wraps up the board committee.
Okay, and I ask
Or
that
the
that just goes
policy
on,
committee.
yeah, that just goes on the regular meeting agenda. Yes, thank you.
The next item on our agenda is item 7, legislative, and I'll turn it over to Mrs. Jarvis.
Thank you, President Burton. At this point, we have no items on the agenda for legislative. Mrs. O'Quist? All right, thank you very much.
All righty, item 8 is Human Resources Committee, and Mr. McFarland is not here. I'll turn it over to Mrs. Frank.
Thank you. And we are going to talk about our new staff orientation that's taking place. We have Ms. Urso and Mr. Grizak that are coming up. Hello.
Good evening. How are you doing? Great.
Thanks for being here.
Okay, good evening. I'm going to start us off. We had an absolutely fabulous day on Friday, the 14th, outstanding, where we welcomed 61 of our new staff members, and that included teaching staff, paraprofessionals, secretarial, maintenance, food service, all were present. The cabinet team took the morning portion and absolutely nailed it. And that was the feedback from many of the staff members. Superintendent Oquist kicked us off, and she went over district vision, our core 4, included our portrait of a graduate, and then each department took time to kind of give an overview of their department, what took place in their department. We had photos for everybody that's in that department. Their little goodie bag actually in their goodie bag, were the pictures also, which we got more feedback on that. It was so nice when they were thumbing through looking at who was in that department. And I thought back personally when I started, and I know it was a long time ago, and we didn't do that kind of stuff, but just to have those names and faces and everything right there in the afternoon, which Mr. Grizak will talk about, I saw more people looking through that and say, oh yeah, that's where that person is, or that's where that person is. So as we went through that morning, and each member of the cabinet team, you know, we started off with, like I said, Superintendent Oquist, and Mrs. Smith gave an overview, Mrs. O'Brien, Mrs. Keats, Mr. E2, and it just kind of went down. Then Larry and I did a portion on HR and actually the roles we play in HR, and then what we want our mission and vision to look like from the HR department. And then we kind of concluded, we had some fun in between there with the new staff members and get some time to get to know them and them to get to know us a little bit. And then we concluded that morning with a group picture, some spirit wear for them, and then lunch was served for them, that they could get a to-go box for lunch. The afternoon then consisted of the LEA members staying and having some PD time with Mrs. O'Brien, myself, and Mr. Grizak, and he's going to speak a little bit about the afternoon portion of it.
So the afternoon is really meant to like kick off our mentoring program. Everyone in that room is going to have a mentor in collaboration with the union, and Teresa has been the biggest partner with them to develop some classes, make a plan, have a game plan that we can kind of duplicate every year for our mentoring program. We're doing similar with Leeds, launching a very similar program with them. But the coolest thing I thought was Teresa and Deanne started off like a little debrief after lunch, and the first teacher said, it really seemed like you guys were genuinely excited to see us. And he said, he came from somewhere else, he said, I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that was a good way to start the afternoon. So they were pretty excited, and we kind of talked about how, you know, it was kind of hard to get this job. And we are literally excited that you're here. You guys went through a lot, and you're the cream of the crop, and you were picked for a reason. So we are very excited that you're here. So we talked with Kelly, and we kind of made a plan. Kelly and Teresa were the driving force with the mentoring last year, so they kind of tried to think of what are some better topics to start the year off, where last year maybe we did them at the end and thought, oh, we should start the year with that. So one of the big things we started with was kind of our mission and how does that look like in the classroom with MTSS, and how the teacher is the most important person in that child's life. It's not the tier 2 and tier 3. We have to have high level, excellent tier 1, and it starts with you. You're the person in the classroom all day. We talked about our elementary program, our elementary day, how it's designed so it's all hands on deck for that hour, whatever grade you're in, but the rest of the day, every student in your class is in your class. They don't leave, they don't keep getting pulled out, they're yours. So, the goal of that is to drive to work, excited to teach your students something, and you have them all day, and when your priorities are in order and you use your PLTs, and Teresa really went into what our PLT model looks like. What are the 4 questions? How do you work as a collaborative team? You come in with your priorities in order, you can leave knowing that you had a good day and you didn't miss anything important. You had it all covered. So we want people to be proud of what they're doing and feel good when they drive home, and having a good PLT, knowing our priority standards, understanding MTSS, all will help teachers be proud of their school, proud of what they did in a classroom. Went over these guys got to get some extra hours being new hires coming out of college, so Teresa walked them through all that. And then Deanne ended with, talking about social media use, some FERPA laws, our social media policy, like with teachers using it, crowdfunding, things like that. So she gave them some updates on some big hitting, like board policy. But we got some really good feedback. I know some of my principal friends texted me that their new teachers said it was amazing and they felt so happy that they're in Livonia.
I have to just add, so the gentleman that he talked about, that was so excited, he said, now, I don't know if that stays. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, you have 3 of us right here that still get really excited for the yellow school buses, and we have like 100 years of experience right now.
She kept saying we have 100 years of experience. I was like, we don't have to keep talking about that.
He's like, can we go over our talking points, please?
Yeah.
That's great. I love it. Thank you so much. Any questions or
great day.
comments from the board, Colleen?
Just that, something that we didn't used to see a number of years ago, but we're seeing more and more of folks coming to us from other districts and coming with a number of years behind them. We had the pleasure of a new next door neighbor who moved in, and it turns out that she bought a new house and got a new job all in the same few months. And we were chatting and getting to know one another a little bit, and she said, yeah, she's coming from another district and just got a job in Livonia Public Schools, and she's coming with over 20 years experience, but she's so excited to be here. But it's exciting to see that we are in a position, I mean, there's pros and cons with how the different landscape has changed with a number of teachers going into education and so forth, and but it didn't used to happen that teachers really could very easily make a change from one district to the other without hurting their own career, and now that can happen. But the pros on that is that we're seeing some really fabulous veteran teachers coming into Livonia Public Schools to bring their experience to our district. But I think that's terrific, and one of the pros too, and she was sharing some of the same thoughts, is, man, is the grass green over here. And I wish I could tell people that we never used to see this in my former district, and we're seeing it here, and I think it's just really terrific. I'm glad that we one of the pros of the education landscape right now is that we can hire veteran teachers and from who are looking to make a move from one district to the other. But it's exciting to see some of the folks, and I think it's a healthy mix of some brand new folks
It was.
and some
We talked about
experienced
that.
people.
They were probably the most diverse
Wow.
new hire orientation we've ever had.
Yeah.
The whole room probably used to be just college grads.
And don't get me wrong, I love our college grads. We're coming out
Yeah.
with all kinds of enthusiasm and some brand new ideas, and I'm not meaning to knock that for a moment, but it's healthy, I think, to have a good diversity of ages and backgrounds, and even some other districts thrown in there. So
Yep.
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
Alum, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so great.
At least a quarter of the people, if not.
That
Wow.
is so great that
That's
they want to come
terrific.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We agree.
Awesome. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Travis.
Thank you. I'm just really glad that you brought that information to us, and especially the stories. We don't really get to hear that, and that's so critically important because it is a big part of our district. And it's nice that people recognize that and get to experience that. And I also hope that in 30 years, that young teacher, that new teacher, or at least new to Livonia, is sitting where you guys were, and someone's approaching them and asking them the same question.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's awesome.
I think
All
that'll
right.
happen.
Anything else, Mrs. Oquist?
Yeah, no, I just want to thank both Larry and Deanne for taking this on. As you know, they are both new to their role, and so new staff orientation is a huge day. It's a really, really important day. It sets the tone for our staff, and so I appreciate everything they did and our cabinet colleagues, our partnership with the LEA leadership. It really was an outstanding day, and tomorrow we are welcoming all of our district staff. So we will be kicking off with all of our secondary staff in the morning at Churchill. And then we will be kicking off with our elementary staff in the afternoon at Franklin. Our secretaries will be at Stevenson. And so we're going to be doing a number of different kickoffs tomorrow. And I really want to thank Mrs. O'Brien, our chief academic officer, members of her team, who have put together a really exceptional professional development day. I have to say, professional development, and this wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but when I was a teacher, we all went into one room and we all really had the same message, right? And so now when we look, and I've shared it with you before, a PD schedule is 3 or 4 pages long with multiple links inside. It's so personalized and unique to the role, to the content area. Mrs. Sproul does the same thing with her coordinators in student services. And so when I think about the level of content that is provided and the number of presenters we have, which in many times are their colleagues. So we have our content area leaders presenting, department chairs, we have some outside presenters, but for the most part, wouldn't you say, Mrs. O'Brien, most of these folks are from within the district? It is a tremendous lift to get a day like tomorrow ready. So today it was on our principals and our coordinators to kick off with their departments and with their schools. Tomorrow is on the district to provide what we hope is a really inspirational day of learning. And I know I'm excited to see all of our staff and to kick off with each of those groups, and just the work that everyone has done leading up to days like today and tomorrow is tremendous. So many thanks for a great day last Friday for our new staff orientation. These 2 days, we've already shared with you an update on our 2 days with ALT. So a lot of planning has gone into each of these days to make sure that we are setting the tone that you would expect us to be setting, and with high standards and a high level of support and enthusiasm for what is ahead for our students. So we know it'll be a great year.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And that wraps up the Human Resource Committee.
Thank you, and that brings us to the end of our agenda. It is a relatively short meeting tonight. I wish everyone a wonderful rest of your evening and your week, and a wonderful first day of school that's coming up just next week, believe it or not.
Yes.
So, we will not have a meeting next week because many of us will be doing a lot of first days and open houses and so forth, so we will be back as a Board of Education 2 weeks from now to continue on. Does anyone have anything else that they need to add before we are adjourned for the evening? Anything? No? Alrighty. Okay, we are adjourned. Have a nice evening. Good night.